Hello and welcome back to the Obojima Podcast. My name is Jeremiah and I'm joined with Ari and Adam, and we are the writers of Obojima. And you are joining us for our weekly writers meeting where we sit down and we chat Obojima, we talk D&D, sometimes we talk movies and shows. And this week we're doing, once again, another community-driven podcast topic.
Yeah.
These
Our
are
favorites.
questions given in the Discord or in the comment section of YouTube. And Ari just stepped on my toe, and I will not let it slide.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's how Army reminds you to say it's community driven.
It's community driven.
Stay it.
I thought I was driving.
You were driving the community. You were driving my toes into the ground. That's right. In this week's episode, we're talking about vehicles, mounts, and specifically the Courier Brigade's giant floating lantern.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to talk about maybe some of the mechanics like talking about mechanics of vehicles. We're going to talk about vehicles in general in Obojima.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we talk about summon vehicles a little bit. We're just in general, and then get into a little bit of the mounts and some of the other topics.
Are we going to get into whelming?
We could maybe get into whelming and things like that. How that, that's actually interesting because whelming, how does damage dealt to a vehicle being whelmed by a spirit affect a spirit?
Yeah. I mean, and what happens if like you're driving along in your cool truck that's whelmed and it takes damage and your spirit goes, peace out, and everything grinds to a halt. It's like,
that is very interesting.
It's like pulling the dilithium crystals right out of the Enterprise, my friend. Nerd.
Too much for me. Adam.
Too much, yeah. Too
Impulse
much.
engines only.
Yeah, that's right.
So, this is interesting. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about,
Let's dive in.
I guess let's jump into, let's talk a little bit about the standard mechanics of a vehicle. So a vehicle has a movement speed. The vehicle has a capacity of how many people can carry. The vehicle has a number of people, which is required to operate the vehicle.
It's crew number.
Crew number. Ari just told me about that.
Sorry, I'm literally reading this in the player's handbook. So
yes.
On page 230.
And so, yeah, there you go. If you've got the new player's handbook, this you can read along with us. Follow the bouncing ball. So you've got movement, you've got crew, you've got capacity, you've got probably a carrying capacity as well.
There's a cargo. In tons.
You've got AC, you've got HP, you've got a damage threshold, which we talk about in Obojima. Obojima uses damage thresholds for other things. And what else is there? Anything else that I'm missing here?
The cost.
And the cost.
How many gold flowers?
So all of those things everyone should be fairly familiar with, except for potentially damage thresholds. And the way damage thresholds operate are fairly simple. There is a number that the vehicle has associated with it, and if a singular attack or spell or magical effect doesn't deal that number as a minimum, no damage is dealt. So for example, if Adam had a 20 hit point damage threshold and I threw a punch that dealt 19 damage, because it did not deal 20 or above, Adam took 0 damage.
Pink.
If I dealt a punch that did 21 points of damage, Adam would take all of it just as normal. I believe in the book they say anything below the damage threshold is superficial. It was a strike
it's like you're scratching the car or something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It hit, but with nothing substantial behind it.
Yeah.
And so many vehicles have those things. So I think for us, it's kind of talking about what a car essentially might have, because I think that's a lot of people want to know, hey, I can have a car. What does that mean in D&D terms?
Yeah.
Right. There are like mopeds and motorcycles or K-trucks and stuff like that in the art. And so how do I get one? How do I use one?
How do you use a K-truck? When it comes to the mechanics, I actually think this is a topic worth exploring in a future book, like writing down some of these numbers for people. I think that's quite interesting. Maybe in an upcoming thing we're working on right now. Might be worth including a page or so.
Yep.
We should talk about that outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
But I think some of the things that I think are unique to us. So, for a damage threshold in a car, it's an interesting space, right? The car is made out of metal. like sheet metal, and a slashing damage. Like if I took a sword and slashed at it, it's not going to do much unless the sword is really sharp. But if I took the sword and I turned it on its end and I stabbed into it, I could puncture the radiator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could go straight through a vehicle with piercing damage and slashing is less. Bludgeoning, cars meant to take bludgeoning damage. It's intended to crumple to protect you. So it's a weird space. Cars are in a weird space.
What's
and
a question, like if I'm in a car and the idea is this is in a fight, and I'm attacking the car, am I attacking the people in the car or am I attacking the car?
Right.
Because if I'm attacking the people in the car, I can shoot an arrow through the window,
right,
and hit the people.
Yep. Dive in through the sunroof.
Not damaging the car at all.
Yeah.
Or I can pop the tires, in which case I am only damaging the car.
Yeah.
Right. So I think part of that is how you interact with this stuff. And a lot of the vehicles that are in, the D&D book, it's like an airship or a galley and things like that. What does it mean to attack these things? And I think this is what kind of some of the things you do in play, right? Let's say if these things were to give, like if I'm in a car and it gives me, half cover or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to decide if you're attacking the car or the person. If I was a DM and somebody tries to shoot somebody out of through a window and you miss, I might say, okay, see if you damage the car then, because in all likelihood you hit the car, right? Unless you missed badly.
Yeah. What I would probably say is with the car, shooting someone in the car, hitting someone in the car, you roll an attack, and the attack firstly targets that character.
Yes.
And then right afterwards, if you miss the target, you could say, well, would that hit still hit the car?
Right.
And if it does, then you can deal damage to the car. Or maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe it just deals damage to the car if it can. That's how I would
you get cool things like scorch marks from a spell on the car as you're driving through it or whatever. Or
I would think the character who's in the car might have an armor class of say 17 or something like that. And then the car itself might have an armor class of 14.
Yeah.
And it could be like, all right, roll to see if you hit armor class 17. If they fail, do they hit armor class 14? If they hit armor class 14, okay, cool, you hit the car.
Exactly.
It's like bang. And then do damage from there.
I think there's a couple interesting things. The wheel is one of them. I think there's a couple unique things about the car. I think the wheel is one of them. So let's talk about that. What I would do is, because cars can still operate even with all the wheels popped. You can still move forward.
Badly, but they can.
Badly, but it can happen.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would put a number of speed associated with each wheel. So let's say the car moves at 60 miles an hour and you pop one, now it goes 50. You pop another, now it goes 40. You pop a third one, it goes 30. And then eventually it's like, well, I could walk faster than this car could drive.
If you pop one, you get that reduced speed. But if two or more are popped, it doesn't go anymore. If it's a four-wheeled vehicle. Does that make sense? Because
I think it really depends on where you are.
Yeah.
I think the DM's discretion.
Sure. These
I would say
I think some DM notes we could probably have about how you can possibly run this stuff. Because the fact is this, here's the thing. You can spend a lot of page real estate on the simulationist aspect of vehicles and driving and how fast are you going when the car is, destroyed.
Yeah.
And does it go, were you on the brakes or not on the brakes? And are you spinning out of control? What random direction do you like? There are other games that do that because that's the premise of the game.
Yeah.
It could be a racing game or something like that. And so basically there's a lot of this that I imagine is kind of, how do you damage this thing? And then the cinematic nature of that damage is going to be up to the DM in conjunction with the player. Because if the player's like, well, if I'm being hit, I'm going to, yank on the steering wheel or whatever. Can I do that as a reaction? The answer should be yes.
Yeah.
Because it's cooler.
Yep.
And then, or I'm going to slam on the brakes, or I'm going to try to leap out of the
Jump
door.
This thing over the canal. Yeah.
Vehicle, we could have a vehicle feat too that might give you those types of reactions.
Yes.
Dig it.
That's interesting. Okay, so I think because you're right, we don't want to get over stimulated or overstimulated. I think we should cover the fun aspects of the vehicle. And so my thought process is, let's stick with Ari's option here, because the car technically, you could probably drive it further, but I think Ari is right that we're getting too in the weeds.
Yeah, you want the wheels to come off in a wreck or something.
So
cool,
the first tire pop reduces the car's speed. The second tire pop immobilizes the car. I think that's really fun.
And maybe your vehicle driving is disadvantage.
Yep.
So it's now you can wipe out.
So, though I think that's really interesting. I think the damaging a vehicle, I think when a vehicle takes damage, if a spirit is whelmed in it, I think the spirit should, I don't think the spirit should take damage, but I think the spirit should have to make almost like a wisdom saving throw to not be shunted out of the vehicle.
Or a morale check. They're like, no, out of here.
Also interesting. And then the last thing would be speed. If the vehicle, let's say the spirit does get pulled out or the spell ends on the vehicle, I think it's fun to have the momentum of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, slowly
inertia.
get reduced. So it's like if you were driving the vehicle, unless you hit the brakes, your vehicle will move an additional 40 feet after that has happened by itself. Like it'll just like. And
again, that's the standard. If let's say you are going down a hill, this is DM's discretion.
To a cliff.
Or if you're going up a hill, or if you have steered into a bunch of like a sandbank or something like that. Obviously, environmental factors will alter this. But if you're just like, I'm on a flat stretch, and a spirit leaves mid, as we're driving, you will continue until you stop.
Yeah. And I think what we'll probably say is you get a certain amount of movement, and as a DM, you can be like, you can shorten or even lengthen that depending on where you are, and we'll leave it as a DM's now. Like we are going to say blanketed, you move this much feet afterwards.
Yeah.
But if they're going uphill, maybe only move 10. If you're going downhill, maybe you move 300.
Right. And if you're like hurtling toward a cliff and you're using a gust spell, to like slow it. Okay. That's cool.
Or
DM, go with that stuff.
Puff.
I really love that. I think that's really interesting.
Ooh, a Featherfall question.
Oh.
If you have Featherfall cast on yourself, but you're in a car and it goes off a cliff, does it just carry you down because it's not feather?
That's like the thing where if you're in an elevator and it falls at the last second if you jump. Does that? But I think.
Are you pulled down anyway?
Yeah, you're pulled down, but you just land feather-like.
Ooh.
It still doesn't feel very good.
I think it comes down to at that point in time, it's is the object I'm holding turn invisible when I turn invisible? Question. Are you wearing the car, or is the car like, how does that function?
Yeah.
If I cast invisibility while inside a car, is the car invisible, or am I just invisible while in the car?
Does the actual rules of Featherfall?
That's what you're holding.
Yeah.
What do the rules of Featherfall say? Does the
rules
of Featherfall
anyway,
say
this is a tangent.
If you strap the belt on, does it count as an accessory and you're not wearing
you'd
the car?
want the seatbelt of Featherfall. That would be one thing.
That's pretty good.
Or instead of an airbag, it's just a Featherfall spell that just affects the whole car.
Right. Featherfall is very short, which I like. Okay.
You can imagine the crazed old man being like, "We're going up the cliff.
We're doing it." Thelma and Louise would be like, "Oh, it didn't work."
Okay, so it says choose up to 5 falling creatures within range. A falling creature's rate of descent slows to 60 feet per round until the spell ends. If a creature lands before the spell ends, the creature takes no damage from the fall, and the spell ends for that creature.
Are we going the same direction?
I don't know.
What if you cast Featherfall on a spirit whelming a car?
Does it extend to the vehicle?
Does it extend to the vehicle? Oh. Maybe that's how you can Featherfall a vehicle.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the spirit. Like if you got a companion spirit and you're like, all right, buddy,
so if I cast
teach it Featherfall.
Oh. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, we're opening up a can of worms.
I'm just seeing the E.T. scene where you're flying in the bike and through the moon. And
I think it's fun.
I think it's great.
I think it's
fun.
fun.
Touch a willing creature. For the duration, the target gains the fly speed of 60 feet and can hover. When the spell ends, the target falls if it is still aloft, unless it could stop the fall.
I mean, what if you had a spirit that whelms your car that knows Fireball? And you're just blasting.
And the ball catches.
You're just blasting fireballs out the front of your car.
It's the scene in every 80s movie where they turn the car on.
It's like Michael Bay. Yeah.
I think this is
lots of questions.
Infinite.
I think there's a lot of questions
Infinite
about
fun
whelming.
Here. Yeah.
I would probably say we need to make a hard decision. If a spirit is inside a truck and I, for example, am outside of a vehicle and I'm the villain, can I target the spirit? Because if I can target the spirit, then I can cast hold monster.
Well, it depends on. Okay, so some of them are line of sight, right? So it's like
Right.
if you can, I'm talking to the mic here. If you can see your target, then you can target them. So oftentimes, like when a spirit is whelming a vehicle, they're inside of the vehicle, in which case they're obscured. So I don't think you can, just as rules as written, unless we create an exception.
Unless you would a hunter's mark, like if you got a hunter's mark versus spirits,
I think
could you see through that car and be like?
I think to make it less complicated, the answer is you can't target a creature, a spirit that is whelmed inside an object with anything.
Okay.
Like it can't be affected by a spell, because then it comes down to like thunder. Like I'm trying to think of a spell that has an area effect that affects creatures in it. Blinded. Blinded doesn't need to see the creature.
Right.
The creature needs to see the effect. Does the spirit see the effect? Can it be blinded? The truck can't be blinded. And then if the answer is no, then like if I cast Thunderwave, which hits the truck, it's not hitting the spirit. So like I think we just need to have a blanketed, even though it's fun, I think the blanketed answer should probably be no. When a spirit's inside a truck or is whelming.
But
I think it's more fun, yes.
I do like the idea.
But then the spirit's taking damage, and then having a truck is just very difficult to.
Well, it also means
because the truck's going to auto fail.
If a spirit whelms something, then they're ostensibly invincible if they can't take damage. I actually think you get way more like drama and fun things at the table if a spirit can take damage while it's whelming something, because all sorts of shenanigans gets to ensue. And
the issue is at 5th level, a fireball would kill most companion spirits, and they're going to auto fail when they get hit by. Because the truck's going to be consumed probably by the fireball, and that's going to auto fail for the spirit.
But we could also do things if the vehicle's in motion. Maybe you get advantage on dexterity checks because it's targeting a moving vehicle. So we can do things like that.
But then what saving throw does the vehicle have? And then we have to give the vehicle saving throws.
No, that's a good point. But I'm saying like the spirit itself. I just think like anytime we remove interaction, I think it could diminish excitement and stakes, because like, all right, as long as my spirit companion is always whelmed in something, it's fine. Like even if my spirit companion is on my shoulder and there's a fireball, it's in a bad way. Fireball is rough in Obojima anyway.
Well, already not all spirits can whelm.
Right.
So like, I think there's certain cases in which it's really, really fun. But I think most D&D, most spells that aren't Obojiman are meant to deal damage in some way. And I think it kind of complicates it, because if you can target the spirit, why wouldn't I target inside the thing as a villain? Why wouldn't I target the spirit?
No, I don't think you could target in terms of like things that need, like Hunter's Mark. It says you need to be able to see something, or like things that require you to see it. I don't think you could target the spirit that way. But if it's an AOE thing,
but then
what protection does the vehicle offer? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I like it. I like the idea more that the vehicle gets hit and it shunts the spirit out. If instead we're just saying the vehicle gets hit and the spirit dies,
I see what
essentially.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
And I think that accomplishes the thing that you're talking about, which is like, what is the drama and the stakes there? Because it could be that if you damage the vehicle, it could create a situation where the spirit is actually either burst out or the spirit bugs out. The spirit's like, whoa.
No, I agree. You're basically, it gets one shell.
You're crushing the shell, and so the spirit jumps out. And then if it's like, then the spirit can be threatened.
Yep.
That
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The shunting part is where my brain did not make that connection. So, yeah.
I think it also says something about why would a spirit ever want to get into a vehicle or any object where it's like, you could throw this off of the edge of a cliff and I would die.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be inside this Game Boy. You're going to kill me.
Get into the flimsy shark cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's cool.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about vehicles. We've talked a lot about spirits. We've talked about some of the whelming capabilities. I think we can detail those in general, but let's jump beyond trucks. Beyond trucks, beyond cars. Let's talk about, I guess, some of the flying objects, some of the flying vehicles in Obojima.
Real quick before we jump into that.
Yeah.
What about bicycles?
So we do detail bicycles.
Uh-huh.
We actually list bicycles already. They have a certain speed and things like that. They don't have a damage threshold. We don't give them an AC.
They're not whelmable because they don't have an engine.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
They're not. I mean, I guess like objects can be whelmed by spirits, but like it wouldn't do anything.
Right.
Like it's not giving a benefit to the bicycle.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify all that. Okay.
Like you could, like a spirit could still get inside the bike, but I think even, and this is something we have to talk about with whelming in general, but I think just because a spirit gets in a truck and turns the truck on, can the truck drive itself because the spirit's inside of it, or is it just like I'm operating the vehicle and someone has to come in and press the gas?
I still think it's basically like a fuel source. Like it substitutes for the fuel, but somebody still has to get in there and
operate,
drive drive it.
But I think like maybe for a simple thing like a bicycle, and I think we've even said this, is like that, you know, a bicycle could be whelmed by a spirit and could kind of cycle up to you. And then you can hop on.
So again, how much do we want to talk about this in a book? But you could also do a thing where like a bicycle is simple. So you might have, might be able to
like
do it
categorized.
Right. Yeah. Whereas like a truck might need multiple, just like there's a crew in so the crew just says, this is for specifically larger vehicles. And so if you had something that is more complex, like a truck, it might say if whelmed, in order to operate autonomously, you need this many whelmed spirits to whelm
like
it.
2 spirits.
That's really interesting. I love adding a spirit, like a separate marker that's like whelming. How many whelmed creatures? How many whelmed creatures to operate?
Yep.
How many whelmed creatures to run autonomously?
Right.
Yeah.
To activate and then operate.
I think that's really cool.
It might be even for like something complex like a K truck. You might actually need 2 spirits just to make the engine go.
Yeah.
Right. And you would have something funny where we don't even know, like, is there a capacity? Or is it like a clown car? Or it turns out like this bicycle actually has like 30 spirits in it and they just come pouring out.
I think it'd be great if you have like you're riding around in a spirit cab, like a cab or like a taxi run by a spirit, and you're like, oh, it's one guy. And then like you're like, all right, time to clock off, and it's like 40 mosslings come out, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is way more than I thought.
Just like a line of little duck spirits.
Yeah, the gas can opens and they all like.
That's fun.
That's really funny.
Dig it.
All right. So flying stuff.
Flying things. So we also detail gliders. So gliders don't
Sky Kite Valley.
Like bicycles, gliders don't operate in the same function that other vehicles do, where they have a capacity or an AC or anything like that. Both bicycles and the gliders are treated more like equipment, like objects, than they are vehicles. And the way the glider functions is you're not going to fly. You're not going to like stand on the ground and put your glider up and you're going to fly away. When you leap off of an object, you move forward at a gliding pace, and you can use your strength to kind of shift the direction you're moving in. That's how gliders function in Obojima. And so they are fully intended to be leaping off buildings to glide down to other spaces, which is why in Sky Kite, where there's all of these updrafts, that's why there's gliders are so abundant there, and why they might not be abundant in somewhere like Yadaman, because there's just... You can only get so far when you jump off a building in Yadaman. Like you might get some, you might skip over some traffic, but you're gonna land eventually. And so we have gliders, handheld gliders in that space. We've not talked about bigger gliders, perhaps gliders that are more akin to like parasailing. You know, we haven't talked about those types of gliders,
like hang glider kind of
hang gliders, or I guess like the giant kites that people, there's like, there's just a ton of air driven things. Yeah. But oftentimes you will see people leaping off of high places to activate them. And I think they would probably operate fairly similar to the small gliders, except they probably have a capacity. They probably have an AC. They might have a damage threshold, and they probably glide much further. That's what I would say.
And it could be like things like, like these ones where they've got like a solar powered glider, like the companies that are, talking about energy and solar power, and they've got these gliders that they fly around the world in.
Yeah.
And they've maybe 100-foot wingspans, and they've got some little cockpit where the person's got a bike and they're pedaling and they're kind of like pedal power. Those kinds of gliders.
Yeah. I think we should claim a difference here. I think gliders in Obojima should be wind or fall powered. So like naturally occurring power. I think flying machines should be powered by a different resource.
Magic.
Like magic or whelming or something like that. Like you could have a propeller
What
that's
about
being operated, or like a plane, like a biplane would be a flying machine.
Or do we have things like Aang's glider in Avatar?
I think that's a glider.
Yeah.
I think that would be classified.
That would
as
just
a
be
glider.
an example of
And
one
he's
of
just
those.
using wind bending or air bending.
Yeah. So when it comes to like a flying machine, like a simple flying machine, I think the damage threshold should be really minor. I imagine these things are made out of paper mache.
Yeah, so
Yeah, like they're probably, if any damage threshold, there might not be any.
Airship here in the player's handbook and rowboats have no damage threshold.
Yeah.
yeah.
It could just be like if you hit it, it does.
Hit with a fireball.
If you hit it, maybe
Just like a
these flying machines might have a low AC. I could kind of see it in two ways. Either they're moving incredibly fast, and while they're moving, their AC is very high because they're like flying through the sky, or they're just really low AC because they're made out of like balsa wood and
You could do a
hopes.
thing where you could have a
Also
thing
wouldn't
where
hope.
they have a reaction that is like it's like a maneuver
shield.
almost, or it's like if I'm going and I see something coming, I can do like a juke or something like that.
Yeah.
Where, for as a reaction, you can add plus 4 to your AC.
And also
that could be like another feat. Could be like the glider expert.
acrobatic flying or something.
And in Obojima, the culture is why there's not a history of air combat in Obojima. So it's like what are they actually building these things for? Like Rock Rayleigh is wanting to get to the top of the Sky King. He wants these the kites that he's building and the engineers around him, they're all building these kites to get elevation. There might be other people who are building them for decorative purposes. The more decorative it is, because it's for festivals and stuff like that.
Racing.
There might be games that we haven't invented yet.
Yeah.
I
definitely think
for
there's
maneuverability and
different
all that.
uses, right?
Okay.
There's like in Sky Kite, there's probably an amount of people that are racers. There's probably people that are using gliders just to get up and down from the city. Like it's their car, it's their beater car that they take up and down. And then there's probably ones that are for fishing or even warding off dangers like vent vultures or hammer gulls or other things like that, where they're like, okay, we need something that's faster than them that we can also like sling a rock at a creature from a distance.
I could see like one that's like a giant, it's made up like one of the sky jellyfish, and it fills up like you're at the bottom of Sky Kite, and it just fills up with hot air, and then it just kind of teleport or like floats you back to the top of the hill, and then you kind of deflate it, and the jellyfish goes, "Ugh." And then to go back down, you fill it up, but then you kind of just lower down, and you're releasing the hot air as you go. It's like, but then the neat thing is that it looks like a jellyfish.
Or you have these ones. There's these big gliders, but they almost like the way moth wings look like their eyes, like of a big creature.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you might have something where there are these like, these hammer gulls might have, think that it's like, it looks almost like the face of the
hunter.
The hunter. So it's like, so they'll disperse as your glider comes in looking like
like the glider looks like a shoebill head, and then it's got the eyes on the wings. That's fun.
I saw a video of like a little girl that has all of these pieces of paper attached to like fishing line. And it looks like it's like, I think I may be misspoken here, but it looks like it's like rural China. She looks like she's on a farm. And she has all of these, and they're attached to like a stick, and she's swinging them around. And as she's running around, it looks like she's being chased by like a swarm of white butterflies
Oh, wow.
that are falling around. So you could
That's cool.
imagine that like if like a group of hammer goals are coming through, it's like, oh, send out there's one that look like floating fish or something like that are fluttering, and this one vehicle's just really fast, and it's like it's the lead fisher or something like that, the king fisher, and it sends it off, and all of these hammer goals chase after it, and then it like clicks a button and it releases them, and they
It's
like
like,
chat.
like a bunch of these
That's great.
flying machines that go out almost like in formation.
Yeah.
And then together they release this huge thing. So it looks like this like stream of, a
school of fish.
Yeah. They're really cool.
We're getting to world building.
Well,
we're supposed to be talking about the vehicles.
Get into animation. We need to animate
drifted
this
a little bit there.
I want to see this movie.
So when it comes to these types of vehicles, probably no damage threshold, probably lower AC.
Yeah.
I imagine maybe there could be a feat where it's like you have the maneuverability reaction, but you also might say like when your vehicle is moving above us, like when you move so many feet in the last round, your AC increases just because you're super fast in the sky. I think these are probably very expensive to get a flying machine that isn't just powered by air.
Yeah.
Like if you were to have a motor, like a first stage motor in it or something, or if you're a paper lantern and you're powered by one of these pink candles, we've already expressed how difficult it is to get one of these giant candles made. And so I think that's another thing. And this also leads to another interesting topic. What happens if a giant candle, like the Courier Brigade's giant lantern, is powered by a bunch of this giant candle in the center? What happens if the wick goes out? If someone's able to extinguish it and all of a sudden the source of your hot air is gone?
You're in trouble.
I'm assuming it's not drastic, but you will eventually start floating down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just depends on where you are. Like if you're way out over the shallows and the prevailing winds are blowing you out, like, it's like, how do you get back?
How does the lantern propel itself? Because like with a hot air balloon, you just follow wind currents. You don't drive it in a direction.
Yeah.
Is that the case with these lanterns? Do they have do they have a sail that lets them kind of guide where they're going? Do they have a propeller so that the balloon is for elevation, but there's something that kind of drives it forward?
Could be like power, like through following magnetic fields or something.
Right, because like if the Courier Brigade is using this, I imagine intentionality is a big part. Like they need to get to a place. Yeah. And so, I think
we say in the book that when they do the, the dawn blossom tree seedlings, they're kind of saying that the wind of Obojima is what guides them, and sort of that sort of it's fated where it's going to blow. So,
and is that a special case though for that festival?
It might be,
it's like we remove the sail, or we remove the propeller, or whatever the propulsion device is.
And we're just going by the wind.
And just by the winds.
It could be that a part of it can be like there is a propeller that they might be able to activate. It's probably small, like it's just to get them moving in certain areas. I actually think it's all predominantly guided by the wind. I think they are probably, whoever's using it is probably good at seeing the wind and harnessing it to get the direction they need to. And that propeller is meant to either get them to the current stream, like the wind stream that they're going for, or it's intended to get them out of it. If they're like, okay, we need to drop off here, start the propeller because it's going to slowly move us out of this wind stream, and then we can drop out of it. That's how I imagine they'd probably use it. I also was thinking that you'd imagine they had a big weight, a rope that hangs down from below it, and on it every like 30 feet there is a flag, so they can see where the wind is blowing, and then above them they might have a small lantern that's carrying another rope with things, so they can kind of like use mirrors or like look out from underneath and look up or down to see where the wind is going 90 feet above them or 90 feet below them, and they can adjust accordingly.
And like the winds might be kind of going across each other like that, and then it's like, oh, we get up, then we can move in a different direction. That's cool.
It gives it a cool look, like the idea of this very vertical thing. That's cool.
That's neat.
I think that's the direction I would head in. Now, when it comes to a paper lantern, paper is in the title. Paper is in the title. I can't imagine that it is as as fragile as a paper lantern
Magical
currently
paper,
is.
yeah.
Or it's been treated in some way.
Right.
It's soaked in something, or
It
it's
could be
coated
made
in
out of
something.
hide.
Mm-hmm.
It might look like a paper lantern, but not be made of paper.
Or it could be made of like you take your paper and then you rub slimes on it, and then that dries into like this sort of shellacked.
Mm-hmm.
This hard
Yeah.
surface.
Mhm.
That's cool. I like that.
Pliable, but like it's
Mhm.
fire retardant kind of thing.
Yeah.
In a lot of joinery, but specifically Japanese joinery and Japanese woodworking. Adam, I'm talking to you, Adam, right now. I mean Ari too, but Adam, I'm here for you. You'll see block planes used to shave wood at this like
paper thing.
be almost beyond like you can see through it. In fact, one of the videos I just watched was the thinnest I'd ever seen wood become. It was mind blowing. It looked, I don't even know. It looked
translucent.
crazy. It was translucent. And so there's this interesting idea of maybe there's a technique for making these lanterns where you cut a really rich hard wood, like a log that's like 18 feet long or something like that. You put it onto sticks or not spigots. That's the wrong word. Spindles.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you shave it really, really, really thin on this spiral, and you make this one ginormous long sheet, and you use that to wrap around the space.
That's cool.
I have a story. They do that where they stack. You take vertical pieces of like special kinds of wood, and you stack them together so they make a pattern, and then you glue all that together, and then you shave across ways, and so you get this pattern shavings. And I took a course, a wood class in Colorado, and I got to do that. And the dude who was teaching the class is like one of the master woodworkers in that Japanese style. And we actually got to pull one with a big wood, like it was about that wide, and just pull one of these things. Super cool. I'll bring it in next time.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
I think this. Besides the those unique features, I don't know that it operates much differently. I imagine maybe we guess we'd have to kind of decide what we want to do here. There's probably some cargo net below that carries packages or things like that.
I mean, you could also just use the airship stats, right? Like its capacity, all that kind of stuff. Because there's an airship in the player's handbook. Be like, this is our version of an airship.
Yeah.
And I think we could, the fact that it doesn't have a damage threshold talks basically it's about this balloon type thing. So this seems pretty true to what we need. I will say that one thing I just wanted to point out that is about, they have a thing called ship repair, a section in the player's handbook, which is also just a great guidance if your stuff does get damaged.
Yeah.
So it's something to look at there, that repairing 1 hit point of damage to your vehicle requires 1 day and costs, in this case, 20 gold pieces for materials and labor. If the repairs are made in a location where the supplies and skilled labor are abundant, such as a city, so this might be a Yataman type thing, a shipyard, the repair time and cost are halved. So this is just a cool, you could obviously change this as you need it, but this is a great way to think about it. So if you bring like even like a boat or something and you bring it to one of the active Mariners Guild lodges, divers lodges, then you might be able to repair it for cheaper and stuff like that. Or in Yataman, if you have a K truck or something like that, it might be cheaper. It's just really cool, the idea of repairing, because we were just talking about damage for this whole episode and how you can destroy these things. So just, you could also repair them.
It'd be interesting to see who has the skill set to repair these types of things in what areas.
and that might lead you to certain areas on the map too, because like there are places like Yataman that will have workshops or Sky Kite or Toggle, but some places like Okiri, they might not know how to repair that kind of stuff. They might have K trucks, but they're just sitting there as like planter pots or something. Like they don't. So yeah,
very cool.
Have we talked about mounts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I don't think we have talked about mounts. So the big mount in question, I think people are wanting to hear about, is the mount of the Courier Brigade. So staying on the Courier Brigade topic,
because they're all about travel.
They're all about travel. They love themselves some travel.
They do some whelming. They do some mountain.
With the Courier Brigade, we had talked about these large birds that they ride around on, and
Now you're speaking to Ari.
Now we're speaking. Now I'm speaking to you, buddy. So Axebeak is, I think, the standard in D&D, and for me, I've never been a big fan of Axebeaks. I like the idea of an Axebeak, but I don't like the dinosaur-esque vibe that they often give off. At least a lot of the art look.
And I'm with you. As much as I love Axebeaks, it's mostly because that's what's available as a flightless bird to ride. But the it's to me an Axebeak it's fine. It does the job, but I think that there are things that are possibly more aesthetically pleasing.
Agreed. Yeah. I think aesthetically, and I think we've actually talked about this in a prior podcast, the secretary bird, the real life bird, the secretary bird is such a unique and interesting look, very iconic, and also just so happens to have the fun play on words that a Courier Brigade member could go into like an office and be like, I need a secretary. And then that's cool. Just very funny, but also very cool.
And they would be like 12-foot tall secretary birds.
They'd be huge. Yeah. I think maybe they have, I think a standard secretary bird probably has plenty of flight skills, but I think for our version, we might need to ground them a little bit more. Maybe they can, still
like a chicken.
Yeah. Fly like a chicken.
Toss up in the air.
Yeah. It's got a lot of the look of a secretary bird, but you give it a really cool run speed or, movement speed and a
cool kick ability, perhaps. Yeah. I also think with the secretary bird, one thing I think often happens in these flightless bird type things is they're very their arms are very stubby. I actually love the idea that the secretary bird still has this huge wingspan that it uses it in its maneuvering and maybe to distract things. Maybe it's not as used to fly, but I still love the idea that it could leap off of a cliff and glide down almost like a glider to the space and still have this wide wingspan.
Interesting.
But for the most part, it's kept behind. I think one of the things that makes a secretary bird interesting is the plume of feathers that come out. They have the plume at the top and the back. They're very angular, very unique in shape.
And it could also be that the Courier Brigade has designed sort of like barding for the horses, where you've got, maybe the ones who are going to Brackwater wetlands, for monster attacks, they've got, guards on their legs or spurs that the bird can use to smack people, or on their wings they've got armor, but a spear kind of thing that comes out so they can use their wings to attack, wipe out monsters.
I'm imagining little shin guards that have rolled up tube mapping in the side.
Yeah.
So it's
saddlebags.
Yeah, saddlebags, but they're all, it's for long packages or long tubes and maps.
Yeah.
You'd have these kind of cartography equipment attached to the bird's legs.
It'd be a cool illustration where you're sort of in the Gale fields and there's just rolling hills and there's a secretary bird and a Courier Brigade knight that's pulled out one of these maps from a tube and is looking at it, and the secretary bird has a little flag on its head or something. It's just blowing in the wind. It's neat.
I'm imagining, because you'll see falconry or birds that carry messages will have these small tubes attached to it. But when the bird is 12 feet tall, this tube could carry something bigger. And so you'd keep your map supplies or something like that.
I would actually imagine if it's still flightless, but it can glide or whatever, but it's flightless, it would actually carry more of it. I could imagine almost like the protected packages, if it were to unfurl its wing, are kind of held there where that it kind of is. It protects those packages as the wings are close to its body. Because if you put things on its legs, that's what it's using to move. So you want to keep that unencumbered.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
But I could imagine something cool. It occurs to me also the Courier Brigade would have these for speed, right? So you're riding these almost like the Pony Express kind of thing. But there might be even the what if it's a carriage? Would they do things like that of almost like the the Wells Fargo,
stagecoaches
type, would they have things like that? In which case, what would be the beast of burden that would carry those or pull those?
I still probably imagine that they use horses.
Yeah, horses are still around.
I think horses are still used, and they probably have them. You could also use like a buffalo or a bison of some sort. Probably not a bison because I think buffalo are more pack animal-esque.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, coming up with some like long-legged creature that, has evolved an Obojima to like be able to look over grass, like the tall grass.
Well, I think
a llama.
Like a llama or a giraffe-like creature.
I think
like a megafauna.
The secretary bird is great for serving that purpose. Like, why do you take a secretary bird when you could take a horse? Well, if I'm going through the Gale Fields, I can get through grasses.
Yeah.
I think I could also imagine, like, if you need something that you need like a stagecoach type thing, you're probably moving in a convoy anyway.
Yep.
So you'll probably have that with being pulled by horses, and then probably like a pair of postal knights or whatever on the secretary birds riding on either side, right? And it's kind of cool that now you have this whole like entourage.
Yeah, that's another cool image.
I love it. Well, I feel like we've covered quite a bit here. We might have not gotten into the details that you wanted. So if there's any questions you still have, please let us know.
Yeah.
We'd love to talk. I mean, I could talk more about this. I could jam on vehicles all day long. But let's just say I definitely feel like this will make it into the next book very soon. Exciting stuff. I think this is cool. This is actually a great episode. I'm loving it. I'm loving what we came up with. That said, thank you so much for joining us. You can listen to us on Spotify or Amazon Music or YouTube or Apple Music. You can catch us on Reddit and Discord or Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. Leave us a comment down below. Give us a like. Give us a little subscribe if you aren't already. And let us know what mount you might want to hear us talk about or what mount we should put in the book.
That will be, or that's on D&D Beyond.
Oh, and then, our regular book's on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
The next book, the current book, you can buy. It's on our website. It's on D&D Beyond, and it's on Alchemy.
Oh, that's right.
Check it out there. All right. With that, you all have a great one, and we will catch you next time. See ya.
Bye.